broadcast. Welcome, everyone, to the October 23rd American Society of Dowsers uh, Environmental Energy and Space Clearers Focus Group. So, welcome, one and all. We changed to Wednesday for a trial period here to see if I think it was Deborah that was not able to attend. And so we wanted to make sure that to see if perhaps this day would work well for everyone. So here we are, and we are going to utilize the Mastermind Alliance format again this meeting. And so everyone will have an opportunity to speak for 5 minutes and on what new things have been happening in their life and any challenges or questions or help that they're looking for in their activities. And then we move on to the next person, and then ultimately at the end we'll have a little recap and get some thoughts or ideas about what we do for next month's meeting. So, without further ado, we'd like to begin this activity, and by introduction, I will just bring up that at the last meeting, one thing that Alan had brought up was that he was encountering some issues with his land and was concerned that there may be some space clearing issues that would be beneficial. We spoke briefly after the meeting, and it appeared to me that these were Native American Indian records, which I'm able to deal with, but isn't my most favorite energy clearance. So, and because I had recently attended the Raymond Grace seminar, and I knew Raymond was very well tuned into Indian energy, I referred Alan to contact Raymond to see if he would be able to assist him. And of course, if not, I would be happy to do it. And so he did contact Raymond, and as I understand it, it was very helpful and successful. So that's the kind of thing that can come from sharing with us some issues or concerns that may exist. We've got a lot of resources here in our knowledge, combined knowledge of all of our attendees. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alan and ask Alan to kick it off with the first 5-minute session.
All right, thank you, Robert. And to follow up with what he said, so after Robert and I talked, I did contact Raymond, and he was more than happy to help me with the problem. So he checked into it and got back with me and said, okay, yeah, there's some spooks there. I'll take care of that, and we'll get back a little bit later. So I was expecting, a couple of days or later in the week, to hear back from him that, what he was doing. So I had to go run some errands, and when I was away from the house, I got back and everything just felt different. It felt light, it felt airy. It was a lot easier feeling. I don't know how to say that. It was like, things were different. It felt good. So anyway, I was checking my email, and Raymond had already emailed me and said, yeah, he found 18 spooks, which is what he calls entity forms. Not the real bad kind, but, you know, just generic disembodied spirits or thought forms, you know, just those kind of things. So anyway, he cleared them, and pretty quick, and it was easy to feel the difference. When my wife got home, she felt a difference. And, you know, so I asked him, I said, well, where do these things come from? And of course, you know, he said, well, he remember saying his dowsing, one of them followed somebody home from a store. So those kind of things happen, and you just don't think about it. And but anyway, we did attend, my wife and I, she's over here in the corner. We attended the seminar that Raymond put on. Patricia was there with us as well, up in Abingdon, Virginia. And it was quite interesting to see how he does this clearing and how simple it is by using intent. And of course, gives you everything of how he does it, but it's so much simpler than I anticipated. And I think we tend to overcomplicate things, which, you know, we all basically would agree to. And so we did space clearing. He taught us how to do that one. We went through it. And like Robert was talking earlier, our spaces are sometimes ourselves. As we go through daily life, we pick up all this garbage and stuff with us as we travel. And we need to clear ourselves and others around us from these things that we can pick up. Of course, increasing our energy levels and balancing, you know, helps us to avoid that. But so some of the big takeaways that I got from it was that I am using my dowsing every day. It's a couple times a day, either raising energy levels on myself, my family, other people, working to clear negative thought forms from people, and just a general, I mean, I'm going back through my notes here. I mean, I got pages of it, but it's easier to douse at this point once we're cleared of the negatives that are around us.
And weren't you telling, maybe it wasn't you, but weren't you mentioning that you were sort of having trouble getting going on your dowsing? Sort of.
I did. Because in fact, it started late spring. And I just couldn't, every time I wanted to go dowsing, it was like, no, you don't want to go do that. That's you got something else that comes up. Something gets in the way, or I pick up my dowsing rods and they just don't work. My pendulum was always, I was always getting what I felt was incorrect information. And I feel much more comfortable and confident in the results I get now.
And what were your takeaways from the third day, the special
Body intelligence?
Body intelligence.
Yeah. You know, and Patricia may have some other takeaways on that one. But we're influenced. So I got the notes here just so I can get it. But we're influenced by so many things that we're not aware of, like our culture, heritage, religion, backgrounds, and these are things that can carry forward through multiple lives. Sometimes that we've brought with us, some things that we're raised around, almost like belief factors that we have to eliminate or change. There's negative trapped negative emotions from an event that we need to clear that could be lingering with us, causing problems. Just doing things that would enhance the body. One of the things that stuck out to me was he was talking about lengthening the telomeres of someone. Of course, if anyone doesn't know, a telomere is the ends of the chromosomes that lengthen. They're long when you're young, and they shorten as we get older. And as the telomeres get shorter and shorter, the capacity for the cells to reproduce properly diminishes, and that's why we age. And or at least to a lot of extent. But using focused thought, we can lengthen those telomeres and decrease some of the negative effects we get with aging. He went into it in a lot more detail, but that's, to me, that was it in a nutshell. And when I'm working, and of course he stressed this factor too, and some technique that I learned, gosh, 25 years ago, is to use your hands while you're in this deep level of thought, so that you're engaging as many senses as you can at that time. You're engaging a sense of touch, smell, taste, hearing, anything that you can, or as many as you can at that time, and it will focus your thoughts and focus what you're doing better. Patricia, I may have messed that up. You might want to you correct
Yeah, well,
me.
interesting. Would you say, Alan, that that third day is highly beneficial?
I would. Yes.
Okay.
I think that if it's possible to attend it, it's worth it. There were a couple people in the class, or at least one person I know of, who hadn't been able to take it in a previous class, but she did come in and take it in that class. Was it just one person? Yeah. So, but it's worth it, definitely, that third day.
Okay, and I just want to add one last thing, that Raymond also had identified some Native American Indian issues related to the property, and cleared those as well.
I asked him about that specifically, and he said that he did not find anything related to Native American. He just didn't see it.
I thought, really? I thought you said that there were some issues related to the Indians that were in that neighbor area, but nothing that substantive.
Nothing that was bothering me at that point, no.
Okay, well, there we go. There we go. Well, thank you very much, and we're going to go counterclockwise here as the pictures go. So Betsy, charge ahead.
Oh gosh! All right, I thought we were going to hear from Patricia next.
No, we're gonna
it was Barbara. Barbara's down there before Betsy.
Well, I do have.
This is Deborah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Deborah. Muted? There's just no picture.
That's because I'm at a computer that does not have any camera, and so I'm using my phone and using. I could see everybody else, and if you put up a picture or something like that, I could see that. But I'll just time my phone.
There's a big Deborah Kraus on your blank picture, so we know you're there.
And I'm missing seeing you, Deborah.
I'm missing you too, Betsy, so much.
I've had a very interesting few weeks, and I'll just try to briefly share it. I had a client who lives a very healthy life, extremely healthy life, and she's mid-70s. She started having a tachycardia issue and supravascular tachycardia, and the doctors and she did not want to take medicines. The doctors gave her a prescription, which she vomited violently when she tried to take it, and her headache was just nonstop. They wanted to operate, and she didn't want to go that route at all. So, as often is the case, if you're an energetic healer, you get folks that are at the end of their rope. But it was very interesting, and it really ties in with how we started before you recorded tonight about water. I just kept getting you're missing the charge. There's something, your heart is missing something. And I said, what are you drinking for water? Well, she was drinking a dead water, one of those treated water systems where everything had been removed from it, an RO system. And it just didn't feel right. I doused it out, and that was the biggest change. We made a few dietary changes, but basically I suggested simply, what have you got to lose? Why don't you change your water? And so they took the RO system out, and they're drinking live water. She has had, it's been perhaps 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, and she's had maybe 2 incidences where she felt the beginning surge of it, and she breathed through it, talked herself through it, tapped on it, and it didn't materialize. Now, she's had them on a regular basis for a year and a month, and it's been horrible for them. I mean, it's canceled trips, it's done major shifts for her inner lifestyle. So that was interesting, and more will be revealed, but it really ties in with, you are what you drink, you are what you eat. And the water, the clear, beautiful water that we work for so much, and Vermont has good water too, let me add. I will just have to wait and see. Have no idea, but I couldn't find any other area that was stressing her body, was challenging for her. She does yoga, she does, she just lives a very clean life. So
wow, well, congratulations. That's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, you just have to listen. It's really like, I think it's like, Alan, what is it? It is Alan. What someone said earlier, it's so much easier than folks make it out to be. If you listen and follow the lead and you do it in a clean way, it's, anything is possible. So there's that. How's that?
Very good. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
there's one more little one I could slide in. I live a pretty clean life too, and I got tricked into going to the doctors, and he said, well, you're doing well, see you next year, except for there's one medication that can be really tough on your kidneys. And I said, yes, but I'm in really good shape. And he said, I know, but it started me thinking, and I got out in the car and I swung on it, and my right kidney was functioning at 70%, and my left kidney was only chugging along at 50. And I had someone else check the figures, and she came up with the same thing. So I made a gem essence, threw some stones in, and created the essence. And it was really interesting because I was totally directed to take it. And I was taking it 3 or 4 times a day, every day, and then it stopped. And I asked that gal to check me out before I did, because I just wasn't sure. 98% both kidneys.
wow.
Yeah, there will be more, I'm sure. There will be a follow-up, but it is absolutely incredible. And it's how we work, isn't it? It's
That is sensational. Yeah. Gad, I tell you, if anybody's having any problems, there's the gal.
No, just use your noggin. It's all out there, and it's a simple matter. You ask and you listen, and you have to follow directions. And yeah.
And I will say that as males get older, sometimes they have to go to the bathroom more frequently.
I'm well aware.
And so I go to a Chinese acupuncturist doctor, an herbalist, who's very talented. And so I talked with him about it. He said, "There's, you know, we'll give you." So he gives me a kidney supplement, or not supplement, an herb that I take, and it helps your adrenal system for people who drink coffee, and your kidneys, and it completely resolves that issue. So I mean, it's a different approach, but obviously the kidneys are an important thing, and particularly if you're going on trips and things and you have to find a bathroom every half hour, that's not acceptable.
That's right. That's right.
So very good. Well, thank you, Betsy. I'm glad you're having such great success.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay, continuing our counterclockwise tour. Barbara Manning, take it away.
Well, there's two things. One of my very interesting clients was a client who was not sleeping. This is in Colorado. And I had already doused her house. And so I'm like, well, maybe one of the lines shifted or something, because she had a 10 meter under her bed. And so, you know, I go into like a meditation to see what's coming up. You know, I have a dowsing list, which I douse. And then at the end, I say, is there anything I've missed? And guidance said yes. And so I'm sitting there in my meditation going, what is it? What is it? Well, they had been drilling for fracking. They had a fracking drilling that they were doing several miles from her house. And I went, oh my God. So I went back in to douse the property, map dowsing. And I said, show me where the lines are from the fracking. And there were these lines under her bed that were like 3 feet apart. And it was stress fractures from the drilling on fracking. And having never dealt with that, I'm like, I don't even know how to tell her how to resolve this, you know, because I'd never dealt with fracking before and those kind of stress kinds of things. So we're still working on it. She did order I call it the NASA space blanket. You can get it from lesbmf.com. It's the silver metal blanket to put underneath her bed so that things can't come up through the earth. And also, I don't know if you can see it. I told her, can you see this? You can get wrist grounding bands. So this is a wristband, and then it hooks up. Here's my little cord. And then you plug it into the round hole on an electric circuit, and it basically grounds you. And so if you're working on your computer or anything, it helps with it helps with all of that kind of stress. So I also told her that might help, because the more grounded you are, the less those frequencies impact you. And so we're trying all these various different things to see what will help. And I also work with healers that are in New England at the Way to Balance, and they use biomorphic geometry. And so I suggested that she get either the cards with the biomorphic geometry that has balance on it, or there's one for PTSD. And what that does is it just takes down the nervous system, and to actually put that by her bed or put it by her head, so that frequency is coming through. So she is sleeping a little bit better, but it's still unresolved because it's a new thing for me. So if anyone has ever worked with fracking and knows what to do with those stress fractures, that would be great.
Well, I have a suggestion for you, Barbara.
Yeah.
And are you able to identify exactly where the stress fractures are coming into the home? I mean,
Yeah.
can you set the line?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so then what I do is I have a particular dowsing rod here that does geopathic stress lines. So geopathic stress lines would be basically the same as fracking lines. It's just
Right.
different. There just wasn't fracking that caused these
Right.
problems. There were other things. So do you know where they're coming in, which direction they're coming in from?
Yeah, they're actually coming in, their bed is up against the wall and it's coming from her head to her foot. So they're coming
Okay.
in that wall.
Okay, so if you let me know, Barbara, how many lines are coming in, because you want to put one of these at their wall, either inside their house or outside their house, but inside is probably fine.
Right. Right.
And so that the center of the stress line is right in the middle of the rod. So
Okay.
if this is the stress line coming, then
Yeah.
I put the rod so it's right in the middle. That
Okay.
will halt that stress line. So in
Okay.
other words, it will basically block it. It
Okay.
will end its movement from that point. Now, if it's coming from the other direction, you want to have it where it's coming in.
Right. Directional. Right.
And so if you let me know how many of those how many lines are coming in,
Mhm.
I'll either send you these, or if you prefer, I can just send these to her and you can tell her that I'm sending them to her so that you don't have to then. Is she not nearby you, right? She's
Right. Colorado. So.
Yeah. So if you want to give me her address and how many you want sent,
Okay.
I'll send these to her, and then when she gets them, you can have her place them.
Hmm.
You can direct her where to place them. What I always do is I have told the people on a little map where I want them to place them.
Right. Right.
Then I tune in afterwards and I say, is this placed properly?
Hmm.
Yes or no? No. Okay, how many inches to the right? Should it be move to the right or to the left? And then it'll go right is correct or left is correct.
Okay.
And then I move, and then how many inches? And then I go 1, 2, 3. And then I call her up and I say, move it 3 inches to the left.
Okay.
And then I say, okay. And then I go, is it correct now? And it goes, yes. And then you've basically now blocked that stress line. It stops
Right.
at the rod.
Okay. Okay.
So let me know how many you want. I'll send them to you, or I'll send them to her.
Right.
With Barbara Matting asked me to send these to you.
Okay. Okay. That would be
And then
great.
you can try that and see if it works.
It works, right? Because I also suggested copper, but copper often doesn't take down that kind of stress.
Yeah, well, these particular rods are much more powerful than regular copper.
Okay.
They're energized, so they're like 7 times more powerful, or multiple times more powerful than a regular. And they're specifically designed to deal with that particular
kind of stress. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. And then the other thing was that I was in France for a good part of September. And what was wonderful about being there, besides you're in France, was that, France is on 50 hertz and our country is on a much higher hertz. And so I slept like a baby there. No geopathic stress anywhere I slept. And I was in Paris and I was in Nice, big cities. And then I was also in Aix-en-Provence in the country. But I slept so well. And there was just like and there was Wi-Fi, in places where I went. And even in the big hotel I slept in Nice my last night, slept like a baby. And I just went, oh my God. And I really believe that the hertz is so much lower. It's so much more aligned with our bodies that the Wi-Fi and all of the EMF, it just doesn't affect you in the same way. So it was so lovely. And to not have all that geopathic stress underneath you was just so wonderful. It was just, I just said, okay, I'm not coming back. You know, it was just so wonderful. And then because their food is much cleaner than ours and they don't have hybrid grains of any sort, and I've been gluten-free for like 10 years, I was able to eat the breads, the croissants, wonderful food that they have. So it was just such a treat. And it felt, by the end of the time I was there, I felt like I was 20 years younger. I just felt so healthy being there. And then it was a real rude shock to come back, you know, and especially coming back into JFK at New York. Really a very rude shock. So I'm like, well, it's good to know that there's someplace you can go, and perhaps all of Europe is like that, but that you can go someplace and give your body a rest. You know, just, okay, just going to refuel here and have a little rest. So it was really quite wonderful to have that.
Are you going to be retiring in France, Barbara? Well, next call we get to, we'll from the Moulin Rouge.
Right. It was just so lovely. And the one place we stayed at, she goes, well, I'm done. I'm actually looking for someone to rent the house long term. And we were all looking at each other going, okay, who wants to take the lease, you know, for long term? Because it was just so wonderful. It was really wonderful.
Well, you maybe should think about that.
I know. Much healthier way. And you know, people in general, you know, they certainly have the same political issues that we do. But people are happier there. There was a much happier vibration or frequency. I noticed that parents were much kinder to their children, much sweeter and more gentle with their children. Even when children were having tantrums and things like that. And what we did, we took all public transportation. We wanted to really live like they live. And so we took the buses and the regional buses and the trains and the metro. And so you really got a real taste of how it was to live there. And it was just a really dialed back energy and frequency. So no, it's definitely a pull. You know?
Well, I've also I also believe that there are certain areas on the planet where you are more alive, more happy, more. You know, maybe people are hitting their kids just as much as they are here, or being just as mean. But you're not seeing it. You're much happier. This is just you're just so much happier. Everything looks better.
Everything looks better. Exactly.
So I'd seriously consider it, Barbara.
Yeah. We think you should, Barbara. We really do.
It was quite wonderful. It really was. So, and I haven't been there. I was there in '86. For several weeks, but you know, and it's changed. Some of the cities that were little villages are now bigger cities, that kind of thing, but still just very lovely, really lovely. So
we'll look forward to further French updates.
Right.
So, okay, so Deborah, take it away. Deborah?
She's not lit up.
Deborah, are you there?
I had to unmute myself.
Okay. Earth to Deborah.
I am here.
Good.
And I took Raymond Grace's online class, which was a 3-day class. He turns it on basically and allows you computer access to it for, let's say, 4 days. And so for that 3rd day, you might even go back and do that one online. He schedules them about, I don't know, once a quarter or so. So I was thinking about my...
Was it just as effective as when you're being there?
No, but wasn't seeing any. He hasn't been to the West Coast in quite a while. So for me, it wasn't. It was either do it online or don't do it.
Well, there's also fly out to wherever he's at.
And let me lead into that, which is the time Barbara or Betsy and I spent with Patrick McManaway, which I did fly out to Vermont for. And I have attended a lot of things, but just a brief. I started out dowsing really most effectively after I 1 or 2 times a day did the Susan Collins protocol of forgiveness, clearing, and blessing. And that routine, that really got into a routine of doing that and of focusing on raising my vibrational frequency, and that of places as well, using Raymond Grace's, I really got into the bobber and everything. And I still believe that's highly effective. I should say now, though, for me, it's really about developing deep and enduring relationships with spirit helpers and different types of spirit helpers, those of the angelic realm, those of the earth energy realm, those of the human or let's say Christ energy, ascended master realm, those 3, angelic, terrestrial, and loving energy, human energy. And so going out the 3 days with Patrick McManaway at his class on land whispering, followed by, I had 2 days one-on-one with him as a coach, really focused on your relationships with the spirits of place, both as individual spirits and as collective spirits that create that genus loci, that overall spirit of place, rather than, let's say, just the ancestors plus the wildlife spirits plus the plant spirits plus the human spirits, the collective, because everything has consciousness and everything can be seen as one. So for me, it's really, at this time, focusing on developing those deep and enduring relationships with the different spirits of place, and using, well, I think the key is to align with the divine and ask. That's what we're all doing in our different formats. We're all aligning with the divine and asking. We're using dowsing as a method to really hone our asking and listening skills. And I've listened to a book called Plant Spirit Medicine by Elliot Cowan. It came out a number of years ago, but it's also on Audible, and I've listened to that a couple times over the past month. On a project level, I've started to go back through each and every one of my properties, which means my house, which is on like 6.5 acres right next to a river. And also I own 2 separate rental properties. One has 3 units on it, another has 4 units on it. And 6 out of the 7 units are turning over in the next 2 months. So it's going to be a real opportunity to go back. So I said, hey, let's just go back to square one and really use my state-of-the-art, as I've evolved as a earth spirit healer, with all these places. And all of them, I tell you, it's, I thought I was pretty good at communing with nature spirits. And I guess I was so welcoming to them, the roof rats moved in. So I spent a good part of the past 2 months, and especially the past week, on my hands and knees, scrubbing, carrying boxes outside, wiping them off, scrubbing floors, and just setting traps, and getting other people to help me with this massive effort in my home. And hopefully this will be the final push, but I no longer underestimate rats in any form or shape. Yeah, they're ants. Ants are amenable to moving to other parts of the property. Spiders are pretty much amenable.
You need to use my approach on the rats. Destroy them.
I do.
Attack.
Yes. They don't get it unless you, I don't know, nail one to the fence post. Yeah.
That's right.
I've taken to throwing rats that have been caught in traps outside with a
warning sign around their neck. Anybody else who comes here and here is going to get this and worse.
Yeah.
They had a choice. Right.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they had a choice. And the rental house, I have 3 duplexes, meaning 6 units plus 1 house. And the repairs on the house have just been one frustrating thing. Normally you schedule Home Depot, they come and measure the rug or whatever that needs to be replaced, and you just schedule it out and get it done. And now it's today it's a month. The place has been empty a month and beginning repairs this whole 4+ weeks. So I'm decided to go back and just treat each and every place like a blank slate and use my newer approaches and methods, including when I visited Betsy, she was kind enough we did a kind of trade on the Perlanda essences. So I'm using a combination of Perlanda essences and that methodology, throwing in meditations from Christian Hummel, and
and lots of rat poisoning.
Cannot use poisoning because if they die inside the walls.
Okay, sorry.
Really
Forget
screwed.
that. I withdraw
Jack
that.
Russells. Get some
I
Jack
withdraw
Russells.
that.
Jack Russell Terriers will take care of them.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I think I need a rat dog. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you've had your hands full with all that kind of stuff, but you too will get through this. And is the motto to reduce the amount of rental properties you have, or?
No, it's to clean them out and really make them into places that have just a really homey tone to them. I mean, really have a energetic vibration of, cozy, and raised all the rents considerably in line with the California market. I had them way too low.
Excellent. There we go.
Yeah.
Rat free.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
I said rat free, Deborah.
Yes. So.
Okay. Well,
thank you all for moving to Wednesday, and I'll put myself back on mute.
Okay. Well, thank you, Deborah. We appreciate it. And now Patricia Jordan. Take it away,
Okay.
Patricia.
All right, I'll show you the dowsing chart. He went over that, and suggested affirmations I think is really good to help remember every day all the things we're supposed to be thinking about. And he also had a dowsing checklist that I think was valuable. And then we get to the back. It's energizing and purifying water, which, by the way, he has a YouTube that shows you how he does that. it's available. I checked that. When he did the intelligence of the body, he went through the different organs, and then he would douse to see if we had problems on any of them. But his big news was the sexual organs, how important they were to the body's soul. But he went through teaching us how to check them all and neutralize any bad effects. And then, of course, he got into his dealing with spooks and dealing with doing exorcisms and everything. And I had, on the first day, a friend of mine back here on the coast of North Carolina, her and another energy worker had been trying to help clear this land. And they both got spooked so bad because there's like a demon that was so bad that he left his imprint of his face on one of them's pillow that had a 14-year-old daughter. And so she wouldn't help anymore because she said she felt like that was a direct threat. So anyway, we got Raymond on that. And I can't remember all he found, but it was like loaded. This was not only Native American, but there was a lot of Revolutionary War stuff. But he told me the next day, but he listed out, and it was like 17 of this, and I mean a lot. And so anyway, my friends back in the coast who had been trying to help and both failed out were really impressed with his ability to like hone in right away on what the problem was and deal with it. And then about the telomeres and getting longer, he was saying that the more work that he does for people and puts that in a positive, the younger he's been getting and how his eyesight's getting better. And so one of the things he does, he has more energy, his body feels good and younger. He puts flowers on everybody. That's one way he's able to raise his vibration. I saw a poem one time about flowers being like the laughter of the earth. But I do that now, and he told us how to clear roads and all that stuff in places that were having bad accidents. But he said for his telomeres in general that you can lengthen them and therefore de-age. Now, it's interesting that he said that because I had always believed that you could use like antioxidants, and once you got rid of these noxious substances and things, that you could actually run back your age. And there's some other webinars I was on, and the man actually verbalized, I think he was talking about low deuterium water, but he's like, we can live to be 200 years age. So there's a lot going on. Yeah.
Did you feel the difference, Patricia, after the class? Did you notice any that it was easier for you to accomplish things in your life? Or
well, I will say this. I don't think everything happens all at once. I think especially if you've had a lot of hard issues going on or complicated or lots of spooks or whatever, that it doesn't happen like right when he does it. But I've seen things that have been taking place. And yes, so I think it works. And then the worse off things are, the longer it'll take. And he did say that some things might take more than one go. One of the things he's really good at is like his psychic surgery, he's like the man that every woman who's been abused would like to have go out and take his knife to the perpetrator. And that was another issue that I saw happen in the room. He has these really quick, like surgical movements that he does with his knife. And when it's against somebody who's really, really a bad person, I think it's like the action that you wished you could have done, and he did it for you. But yeah, he's pretty amazing. I want to go back and work with him more. He said he's not coming out of his place very much at all. He's doing some things by video, like there's a conference he's going to be at, but it's by video. So there is a lot of things. And I think he could easily, that would be good. But I'm glad he's only, less than 2 hours from me, because it's not a bad drive.
And he will help if people do have issues that need attention.
Yes, and
you can just email him, and he'll like Alan did. Alan just basically emailed him with an issue, and he doesn't always respond quite as quickly as he did with Alan, but I guess, but he will help anybody, even if you've never attended any of his classes or.
Yeah, that's good. I have a friend whose daughter was savagely raped down in Florida. And at the time when it happened, it was so traumatic. I mean, just you couldn't even hear but a couple words on what happened to her, and you would be affected too. But I had given her Staph Sagria. It's a homeopathic or something like that. But I'm really thinking that she, even her mother does it for her through Raymond. She needs a session like that.
Yeah, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, really helpful for that. Really, really, really badly possessed lands, and even people who have caused a lot of bad trauma. He had a quote I was trying to find, but he's treat everyone with kindness that deserves it. That deserves it. In other words, yeah, I do like the fact that of all the different, like I was raised Catholic, and I think that's part of, like my problem. You're already born with original sin. Everything's bad. You got to forgive everybody. No, I like his style. He goes in his note. There's some people we're taking out.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and about protection for our country, and our family. He's like, and blood and stuff like that. Yeah, he's not messing around, and I think that's fine because I don't think we have time to mess around.
Yeah.
He gives you the permission not to mess around.
Yeah. Well, Patricia, thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. I will just say a couple things. One thing that that I had mentioned that I was trying to accomplish is the completion of my website, which had sort of dragged on as an intention for quite a couple years now. And I finally did complete that, and it happened in probably about 2 weeks. After all that time of dilly-dallying and all, I put the stuff together, got it to the person, he did a nice design, and now I'm live on www.dowsingdesign.com. So,
Nice.
It's a great site. Yeah.
So,
you know what? I was gonna
my
say
major accomplishment.
Somebody contacted me through Facebook because I put the information about Raymond on there, and she said she's been working with him since 2004, but she's involved somehow in every 2-week clearings. I guess he does them for people. Have you heard anything about that? I want to get on that list.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not familiar. I know he has some. He mentioned that he has some ongoing relationships with people that he works with. That he's worked with over time. But I'm not familiar with any of those people. That may well be. That may well be one of them. But so with that, we've reached pretty much our hour time frame. So does everybody like a Wednesday rather than a Thursday?
Works for me.
Okay for me.
Mhm.
Deborah?
Thank you. Yes, yes.
Okay. And so I will, I've scheduled one for November. I think we'll probably have a session in November, and then maybe with the holidays, we will skip December and look at it after the first of the year. So we'll plan on having, I'll get the notice out to everyone. And for our November meeting, which will be the third, I believe it's the third Wednesday in November so that we're not the week of Thanksgiving. I think that's the week before Thanksgiving.
Robert, I'm attending Vesica Institute November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd on their use of crystals and vibrational tools. So if you want me to, I'll give a report.
Yeah, well, great. Well, why don't we, we'll plan on that, and then we'll see if, what else we have time for in that meeting. So that would be great. We'll kind of, and that's, Patricia, that's you, correct?
Yes, I'm going, Robert, Dr. Gilmore, who has Vesica, was in my crystal class, crystal medicine class, and he's putting this one on about the vibration of crystals and how to use them and being able to pick up vibrations and all. So.
Okay, well, great. Well, we'll start out with that. We'll start out with that, and we'll hopefully still have some time to address these other issues. And then, Barbara, if you want to let me know,
I will.
Where you want me to send these and how many you want, how many individual geopathic stress lines are there. Probably one rod will do it for each line.
For each line, okay.
Yep. Very good.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you, one and all. And I will say that I thought, Deborah, your comment that what dowsing is aligning with the divine and asking is very, I think that's a very insightful understanding of really what dowsing is. And
you can't quote me. I forget who originally said that, but they said, well, dowsing's align with the divine and ask. And
yeah,
so that's from an ASDA conference.
Well,
Yeah,
there we go.
thank you.
There we go. But I thought that was fantastic. So, well, thank you one and all. And with that, we will charge ahead to victory.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Have a good evening.